Most people take months or even years to master a skill. What if you could do it in half the time, using science-backed real-world strategies? I spent 3 years trying to learn Spanish the traditional way, textbooks, apps, classes. Then I discovered a better approach and became conversationally fluent in just 6 months. The difference wasn't more time or talent, it was method. Today I'm sharing the exact framework I've used to rapidly learn everything from coding to public speaking to playing guitar. These aren't just theories, they're battle tested strategies that have helped thousands of my students cut their learning curve in half. Chapter 1. Why most people learn the hard way. Let's start with an uncomfortable truth. Most of us waste 80% of our learning time on activities that barely move the needle. Think about how we're taught to learn. Sit quietly, read textbooks, watch tutorials, take notes. It's all passive. And passivity is the enemy of skill development. A study from Carnegie Mellon showed that students who consumed the same content but actively practiced instead of passively watching learned 300% faster. Yet we keep defaulting to the passive approach. Why? Because active learning is uncomfortable. It exposes our weaknesses. It makes us feel incompetent. And our brains are wired to avoid discomfort. I see this pattern all the time. Someone wants to learn photography, so they watch 50 YouTube tutorials without ever seriously using their camera. Or they want to learn a language, so they use an app for 10 minutes daily without ever having a conversation. They confuse learning about something with actually learning to do something. Quick recap. Traditional learning methods are deeply inefficient because they focus on passive consumption rather than active practice. This is why so many people spend countless hours learning without making real progress. Next, I'll show you the science-backed principles that can cut your learning time in half. Chapter 2. The 5 Principles of Rapid Skill Mastery. After studying the world's fastest learners, from chess prodigies to polyglots to elite athletes, I've identified 5 core principles that separate rapid learners from everyone else. Principle number 1. Deconstruct the skill. Every complex skill is a bundle of smaller subskills. The key is identifying the 20% of subskills that deliver 80% of the results. When I wanted to learn public speaking, I realized that just 2 elements made the biggest difference: storytelling structure and vocal variety. By focusing intensely on these 2 areas, I saw more progress in 3 weeks than in my previous year of general practice. How to apply this? Research who's already great at your target skill. Identify 3 to 5 subskills they've mastered. Temporarily ignore everything else. This approach is backed by research. A study of elite violinists found they didn't practice more hours. They just focused those hours on the most impactful techniques. Principle number 2. Focus on active production, not passive consumption. Your brain forms stronger neural connections when you actively create rather than passively consume. When learning Spanish, I switched from watching Spanish shows, passive, to describing my day in Spanish out loud, active. My progress skyrocketed. How to apply this? For every hour of consuming, spend 3 hours producing. Create something, even if it's terrible, every single practice session. Embrace the discomfort of being bad at something new. Principle number 3, get immediate feedback. Without feedback, practice just reinforces existing patterns, including mistakes. When I was learning guitar, I recorded myself playing and listened back immediately. I could instantly hear timing issues I wasn't aware of while playing. This accelerated my progress dramatically. How to apply this? Record yourself and review immediately. Join communities where you can share your work. Consider working with a coach, even if just for a few sessions. Principle number 4. Use spaced repetition. Your brain strengthens connections when you revisit material just as you're about to forget it. One study found that students who reviewed material at specific intervals, 1 day, 7 days, 16 days, 35 days, remembered 92% of the information after 6 months. Students who crammed forgot 80% after just 1 month. How to apply this? Practice daily for short periods, 30 to 60 minutes. Review older material at increasing intervals. Use tools like Anki for knowledge-based skills. Principle number 5, measure progress with small wins. Motivation comes from seeing progress, but progress often feels invisible day to day. When learning to draw, I kept a folder of all my work chronologically. Comparing day 1 to day 30 showed massive improvement that I hadn't noticed in the moment. How to apply this? Document your starting point. Take photos, recordings, or screenshots. Track specific metrics weekly, not daily. Celebrate improvements, not just end results. Quick recap. The 5 principles of rapid skill acquisition are: deconstruct the skill, focus on active practice, get immediate feedback, use spaced repetition, and measure progress. These principles work for any skill from languages to musical instruments to professional abilities. Coming up next, I'll show you exactly how to implement these principles into a practical 30-day framework. Chapter 3, the 30-day Rapid Skill Mastery Framework. Now let's put these principles into action with a step-by-step system for mastering any skill in 30 days. Step 1. Set one crystal clear outcome. Most people set vague goals like get better at drawing or learn Python. This lack of clarity destroys motivation. Instead, define exactly what success looks like after 30 days. Draw a realistic portrait that's recognizable as the subject. Build a simple weather app using Python. Have a 10-minute conversation in Spanish about travel. The more specific, the better. Your brain needs a clear target to aim for. Step 2. Identify your 80-20 subskills. Now break down your target skill and identify the vital few subskills that matter most. For example, if you're learning to mix music, EQ management, frequency balance, compression basics, creating stereo width, managing levels between instruments. Focus only on these for 30 days. Ignore everything else. Step 3. Design your daily practice routine. Create a 45 to 60-minute daily practice session with this structure. For 5 minutes, warm-up session. Review what you learned yesterday. Then 25 minutes. Active practice session. Work specifically on one subskill. 10 minutes. Feedback loop session. Record and review your practice. 5 minutes. Reflect. Document what worked and what didn't. 5 minutes preview session. Decide what you'll practice tomorrow. This structure incorporates all 5 principles we discussed earlier. Step 4. Create accountability through social commitment. Research shows you're 65% more likely to reach your goals if you commit to someone else. Options include: find a learning partner who's working on the same skill, join an online challenge, and post daily updates. Make a small financial bet with a friend, schedule a performance or demonstration on day 30. I personally put $100 in an envelope and gave it to a friend. If I missed more than 2 practice days in the month, they kept the money. Step 5. Systematically eliminate obstacles. Identify what's most likely to derail your practice and address it proactively. Time obstacles. Schedule practice sessions like important meetings. Energy obstacles. Practice during your peak mental hours. Distraction obstacles. Create a dedicated practice environment. Resource obstacles. Gather all tools and materials in advance. One of my students wanted to learn piano but kept skipping practice. We discovered it was because his keyboard was in the closet. Simply keeping it set up in the living room increased his practice consistency by 400%. Quick recap. The 30-day framework gives you a practical system for implementing the learning principles. It includes setting a clear outcome, identifying key subskills, structuring daily practice, creating accountability, and removing obstacles. Next, I'll share the biggest mistakes to avoid that can sabotage your progress. Chapter 4: The 3 mistakes that kill rapid learning even with the perfect framework. 3 common mistakes can destroy your progress. Mistake number 1: the perfectionism trap. Perfectionism is the enemy of rapid skill acquisition. It makes you avoid the uncomfortable practice that drives growth. A study of elite musicians found that beginners who were willing to sound terrible actually progressed faster than those who stayed within their comfort zone. The fix: embrace being bad. Adopt the mindset that if I'm not embarrassed by my early attempts, I'm not learning fast enough. Mistake number 2: inconsistent practice. Practicing for 30 minutes daily is vastly more effective than 3.5 hours once a week. Why? Because your brain strengthens connections through consistent exposure. A study from the University of Texas found that students who distributed practice in short, daily sessions retained 38% more information than those who did the same amount of practice in longer, less frequent sessions. The fix: prioritize consistency over duration. It's better to practice for 15 minutes every day than 2 hours twice a week. Mistake number 3: learning in isolation. Isolated learning removes the social feedback that accelerates progress. Every skill has blind spots you can't see without outside input. When I was learning video editing, I was making a critical mistake with color grading for weeks without realizing it. One 5-minute conversation with an experienced editor saved me months of practice with poor technique. The fix: join communities, share your work regularly, and seek feedback from people more skilled than you. Quick recap: avoid the 3 traps that slow down learning: perfectionism that prevents practice, inconsistent sessions that prevent neural consolidation, and isolation that prevents valuable feedback. Chapter 5: putting it all together. Let me show you how this framework works in real life with a recent example. Last year, I wanted to learn digital illustration. I had zero art background. Following this framework, I set a specific outcome: create a stylized character portrait that could be my social media avatar within 30 days. Identified the 80/20 skills: basic shapes, proportion, shading, color theory, and digital tool basics. Created a daily practice routine: 45 minutes every morning before work. Added accountability: posted my daily progress on Instagram. Removed obstacles: preset my iPad with the illustration app open before bed. The first week was rough. My drawings looked like something a 5-year-old would make. But I focused on just one sub-skill each day and embraced being terrible. By day 14, I started seeing real improvement. By day 30, I had created an avatar I was actually proud to use online. Was it professional level? Number. But it was far better than most people achieve in 3 to 6 months of casual practice. The key was following the system consistently, even on days I didn't feel like it. You can apply this exact framework to any skill you want to learn: playing an instrument, speaking a language, coding, photography, public speaking, writing, video editing, dancing. The process remains the same, even though the content differs. Chapter 6: final thoughts. The difference between rapid skill acquisition and slow, frustrating progress isn't talent, it's method. Most people waste thousands of hours learning inefficiently because no one taught them how to learn. They focus on consumption over production, practice without feedback, and fail to track their progress. But by applying the principles I've shared today, deconstructing skills, focusing on active practice, getting immediate feedback, using spaced repetition, and measuring progress, you can dramatically accelerate your learning curve. Remember, mastery isn't about time spent, it's about the quality of your practice and the system you follow. What skill will you master in the next 30 days? Comment below. And don't forget to like, share, and hit the subscribe button for more such content.